So far in our time during Hanoi, we've brought you to some really cool, unique cafes. We've done a food tour, but what we haven't done is just generally explore the city of Hanoi. So that's what we plan to do over the next 2 days. But first of all, it is lunchtime and we're hungry, so it's about time we got a big steaming hot bowl of pho. Now, we don't really have a place in mind, but what we are on the hunt for is pho ga. Pronunciation of ga to be confirmed, but what that is chicken pho. So that's what we're looking out for as we wander through the streets of the Old Quarter.
Now, we haven't actually had pho yet here in Hanoi. We did have versions of pho on our food tour through the Old Quarter of Hanoi. If you haven't seen that video, we will link it up there. We had the modern versions, more tailored towards hot weather. So we had dried pho and like spring rolls with the ingredients of pho inside. But we have not had the traditional hot version of pho. And something that we haven't actually really mentioned is that it's actually quite cold in Hanoi at the moment, which is why we're wearing puffer jackets. So I'm pretty excited to get the traditional version of pho because I think it will really heat us up. I really feel like a nice warm bowl of soup noodles.
Now, it was someone's birthday yesterday, so everyone wish Rosh a happy birthday in the comments below. But we went to somewhere really cool. We didn't film, but it was called Royal City. Massive underground shopping complex. So if you are looking for something cool to do in Hanoi, highly recommend that. There was like an ice skating rink, bowling, cinemas, arcades. Really, really cool. Okay, we've stopped at a little spot on the side of the road in the Old Quarter for some pho ga, aka like chicken noodle soup, aka chicken pho. So we're gonna stop here and have a bite to eat before we continue exploring the Old Quarter. Okay, we have our big bowls of pho. We're gonna dig in. Now, something really cool we learned during our food tour was that as you move through Vietnam, like from north to south, the food really evolves. So I feel like food's gonna be playing a massive part in all our videos in Vietnam, as it already has. I mean, our first 2 videos were pretty much focused around food and coffee, but excited to dig into this. So pho, as I understand, it's like some sort of broth which I think is cooked over like multiple days. So I think the broth is kind of the main thing that like distinguishes pho between different restaurants. Obviously chicken, beef, I think beef is a very popular pho, so if you are like us and you only want to eat chicken, you will have to look out for places that do sell chicken pho. But it's also got like spring onion, chicken, the noodles obviously throughout it. So it's pretty basic. It is a popular breakfast food here in Vietnam. That's what a lot of people have for breakfast. But we're not quite at the noodles for breakfast stage of our Asia journey just yet.
One of my favorite things about eating out in Hanoi is a lot of the little restaurants have just very like simple plastic stools and tables out the front, really like miniature. But it just kind of adds to the whole experience. You really feel like you're eating like a local. As Stay said, it's such a simple meal, but it just really hits the spot. When we did the food tour the other day, our guide Tyler was saying that it might not feel like a heavy meal or hefty meal, but because the noodles continue to kind of absorb liquid in your stomach, it can make you feel full for a long time, which is why a lot of people have it for breakfast. Problems with one of us being left-hander or one of us being a right-hander. Well, that pho really hit the spot, and now we're wandering towards one of the main lakes here in the city of Hanoi. This one's pretty famous, or pretty well known, because it actually sits in the Old Quarter of Hanoi, and we think that there's also a temple in the middle of the lake as well, so we're going to check that out. Now, this lake is a pretty good size. It's pretty easy to walk all the way around, but I think I've got an even cooler way to get around, and that's on a cyclo. That is just something you have to do if you're in Hanoi. So we paid 200,000 dong for a lap around the lake in the cyclo. A little bit expensive, not sure what to expect in terms of prices. He initially quoted us 450, but I think that was for like a 40-minute ride around and through the Old Quarter. And then when I said just around the lake, he said 300. I got him down to 200. But I just think it's something you have to do if you're in Hanoi.
A lot of the food tours and stuff you book as well, say like through Get Your Guide, will have like an optional add-on to do like a cyclo ride afterwards. So I'm not sure, maybe that works out cheaper, but I think just negotiate. We're not good at negotiating, if you can tell if you watch our other videos. So.
But if you're interested in any of those tours that do include a ride, we'll put one or two of them in the description below. Now, if you've seen any of our previous videos from Hanoi, you would have seen us try the famous egg coffee. We tried it once at the Note Coffee, which was that really unique cafe, and if you'd like to see that video, we'll link it up there. We went to some of the most unique, quirkiest cafes here in Hanoi, and then we also tried it on our food tour around Hanoi, and if you'd like to see that video, we will link that up here. But now we're gonna go and try it one more time from the place where it apparently originated. This cafe claims to be the first cafe to have sold this very famous coffee. So we have come to Cafe Giang. I'm sorry if I'm not saying that right. It says here that Mr. Giang, who's the man who kind of created the whole egg coffee craze, was inspired by the famous Italian cappuccino. But in Vietnam, they didn't have a huge amount of like milk products available. So he had to overcome that issue, and instead of using milk, he combined black coffee with egg yolks and sugar and created something that is an absolute must try when you're in Hanoi. And where better to try it than where it first originated.
So we've had, probably as Rush said, like 3 or 4 egg coffees so far in our time in Hanoi. It has never come in like a little bowl of hot water like this. So I'm not really sure if it just kind of keeps it warm or what the go is, but it's interesting. We ended up going with the egg coffee, but we also got the egg cocoa, so like a egg coffee but a hot chocolate, which is probably not a traditional drink, but worth trying anyways. You should definitely try just like the top layer before you drink the drink, just to see what it tastes like. So I did say this in our food tour video, but in case you haven't seen it, egg coffee's 3 layers. It's the condensed milk, the black coffee, and then like the whipped egg yolk, which is egg yolk, sugar, and normally a bit of rice wine as well, which kind of like cooks the egg yolk, so it is edible. But that's what our guide told us in our food tour, is you should try the top layer first before you mix it all together.
That is Milo, I think.
Oh really?
Yeah. Is it just foam?
I think it's just foam. I'm getting some chocolate. That's really good.
Mm-hmm. Is it Milo?
I think it's Milo.
Yeah. Look at all that foam. Oh my gosh. That's a lot of foam, but the foam is the best part. I think this is the best egg coffee we've had. And I also really like the egg hot chocolate or egg Milo, so if you're coming, try both. It's the most foam we've ever got, but the foam is the best part.
The coffee is very strong in Vietnam. We were not big coffee drinkers before our travels. We're slowly picking it up. Definitely strong, so something to be mindful of if you are coming to Vietnam and you are going to try all the coffees.
But now that we've had egg coffee a number of times, tried it from a lot of different places, I think it's time we learn how to make it ourselves, so that maybe we can make it one day at home. We've come back to Cafe Min, which is the same cafe we visited on our food tour, to do an egg coffee making class. So we're making 3 coffees, 1 egg coffee, 1 brown coffee, and 1 white coffee. Also, there's a really cute kid in here that's really distracting.
So we're starting with the egg coffee, but first we have to actually filter the coffee, which we're doing so using this Vietnamese filter called a Pin.
And now that we've got our coffee, it's time to start cracking some eggs so we can prepare the foam. And so we're using 2 egg yolks per person and a dash of vodka.
Vodka.
Vodka?
Yes.
I'll be a little tipsy actually.
A little of vodka.
And our guide Chloe says it's going to take at least 7 minutes to whip up the eggs.
Wow. It's still so watery.
So I added a bit of condensed milk, a bit of coffee, and now we're just waiting to put our egg foam on top of our egg coffee. Meanwhile, our brown coffee has been filtered and we're awaiting the next steps for that.
Best one you ever had?
Or semen.
They were good. And next up is the brown coffee, which is super easy. It's literally just a whole bunch of condensed milk and then the leftover coffee that we used with the egg coffee. And lastly, we are making the white coffee, which is a little bit more complicated. So first we add a bit of condensed milk and some hot water and kind of mix that together. We then add some coffee foam on top, and then we're going to pour in the black coffee last. So we're gonna end this video on a literal high because we just had 3 coffees in about the space of an hour. But like the video if you enjoyed it. You can check out the actual class we did in the link in the description below and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. But we'll see you in our next video. Bye!